Hello students, so today we will be starting with a new topic. The new topic name is India's external relations. So today we will be understanding about India's external relations and how the external relations are being maintained. This chapter is present in the class 12 book of political science, and today we will be understanding about India's external relations. So let us begin with the international context. India was born in a very trying and challenging international context. The world has witnessed a devastating war and was grappling with issues of reconstruction, and many new countries were emerging as a result of collapse of colonialism, and most new nations were trying to come to terms with the twin challenges of welfare and democracy. Free India's foreign policy reflected all this concern in the period immediately after independence. Now, if I talk about India's international context, or you can see during that time when there was the colonialism period. After the colonialism period, lot more new nations were emerging, lot more new states were coming, new nations were emerging. As a result, what had happened? They were facing problem regarding with the welfare, also with the war. During that time, World War II was still in existence during the independence period of 1947. Before that, World War II was there, it was still into existence. Also, on the other hand, after the independence, also there was war. There was war among the people. There was the emerging of the new states. There also the creation of the linguistic lines. The linguistic lines, the state related to the linguistic line. So, as a result, during that time also there was the issues of reconstruction. The issues of reconstruction was there, and also new countries were coming into existence. So, as a result, what had happened? There were twin challenges. The twin challenges was regarding to welfare and democracy. That time democracy was coming into existence. Before democracy, there was monarchy system or there was dictatorship. But afterwards, what had happened when democracy was coming into existence? So there was the twin challenges regarding the welfare of the people and the democracy. Free India's foreign policy reflected all these concerns in the period immediately after independence. Apart from this, factors at global level, India has its own share of concerns, such as partition has created its own pressure, and the task of poverty alleviation was already waiting for fulfillment. This overall led India started participating in the world affairs as an independent nation state. Now, most of the issues are related to the global factor. Now, what are the issues? You see, first comes the challenges of the partition. During that time, there was the partition. People were facing those problems of the partition first of all, and here the fulfillment of poverty alleviation. You see, during that time also most of the countries were still in poverty. India was also in poverty. So as a result, how there will be the fulfillment of poverty alleviation. Also, on the other hand, there was also yes, this overall led India started participating in the world affairs as an independent nation state. Now, you see, poverty alleviation was there, also partition was there. The problems of partition was there. So, as a result, India was participating in most of the worldly affairs. In most of the worldly affairs, India was still participating. Why? So that they can discuss about the important issues. Also, on the other hand, as a nation born in the backdrop of the World War, India decided to conduct its foreign relations with an aim to respect the sovereignty of all other nations and to achieve security through the maintenance of peace. Now, within the nation state, India was standing itself as a nation state. As a result, what had happened? They were participating in the worldly affairs. Our country was participating in the worldly affairs as a part of the nation state, as a single nation state, you can say, first of all, and they have started conducting foreign relations. Foreign relation, why? So that they can discuss important issues regarding their own country. Also, on the other hand, they respected the sovereignty of the nation so that they can maintain peace. Peace and sovereignty in a particular country, which means no discrimination will be allowed in that particular country. No discrimination will be there. There will be respect to all religion. Also, on the other hand, there will be peace in the particular country. This aim finds an echo in the directive principles of state policy. Very, very important. To maintain peace and sovereignty, this is being included in the directive principles of state policy. Third comes, just as both internal and external factors guide the behavior of an individual or family, both domestic and international environment influence the foreign policy of a nation. Now, if I talk about the internal and external factors, now if I talk about the internal and external factor, it guides the behavior of an individual. First of all, it guides the behavior of an individual or family. Both domestic and international environment influence the foreign policy of a nation. It also influences the foreign policy of a nation. The developing countries lack the required resources to effectively advocate their concern in the international system. Therefore, more focus was on peace and development in the neighborhood, and the powerful state influenced the foreign policy. Now, with the help of those resources, more focus was on peace. More focus was on peace and development in the neighborhood. You see, if there is no peace, then there will be chaos in a particular country. So peace was being focused on a particular neighborhood, and also on the other hand, the powerful states influencing the foreign policy. Here, the powerful state was also influencing the foreign policy during that time. You see, this point is very much important regarding the internal and external factors of the foreign policy, how the behavior of an individual, family, both domestic and international environment influence the foreign policy of a nation. You see, foreign policy is for the welfare of the common people. The common people actually influence the foreign policy of the nation, first of all, and second of all, the developing countries need enough resources so that they can use it effectively and advocate the concern in their international system. You see, a nation can participate in the worldly affairs if it has required resources. To participate in the foreign policy or in the worldly affairs, you can say. The focus was on peace. Yes, most probably the focus was on peace and of the development of the neighborhood. Very, very important. The focus was on peace and of the development in the neighborhood. Also, on the other hand, the powerful states influences the foreign policy. Now, if I talk about the powerful states, there are many powerful states in our country. It influences the foreign policy. So, here we will be understanding about policy of non-alignment. What do you mean by non-alignment? Which means not participating in the foreign policy. If we are not participating in the foreign policy, then what will happen and what will be the consequence? So, here you see, Indian national movement was not an isolated process. It was a part of the worldwide struggle against colonialism and imperialism. It influenced the liberation movement of many Asian and African countries prior to India's independence in their common struggle, and the creation of Indian National Army by Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose during the Second World War was the clearest manifestation of the linkages established between India and overseas Indians during the freedom struggle. Now, here you see, if I talk about this Indian national movement, the Indian national movement was an isolated process. If I talk about the Indian national movement, first of all, it is an isolated process, and then slowly it became a worldwide struggle. Slowly it became the worldwide struggle. And also, it was a part of the colonialism and imperialism, which means, you see, Indian national movement, why this came into existence? So that it can enhance democracy, and it became against the colonialism and imperialism, which means a part of the monarchy system. To go against the colonialism and imperialism, the Indian national movement came into existence, and also it influenced the liberal movements. Most of the liberation movements are there, which are being influenced by Indian national movement. Many Asian and African countries came into existence during that time after the India's independence in their common struggle and the creation of the Indian National Army. After the Indian national movement only, there came the Indian National Army, which was being conducted by Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose during the Second World War. During that time, Indian National Army was managed by Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose during the Second World War, and it was the clearest manifestation of the linkages established between India and overseas Indians during the freedom struggle. During that time also, this is, you see, very, very important. During that time, many Indian people and the overseas people also took part in the Indian national movement, or you can say the Indian Army force. In the Indian National Army also, they participated. The people from India and the overseas Indian during the Second World War, just because for the freedom struggle. Also, the first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru played a crucial role in setting the national agencies such as his own foreign minister. Thus, both the Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister, he exercised profound influence in the formulation and implementation of India's foreign policy from 1946 to 64. Very, very important. You see, if I talk about our first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru was the first Prime Minister as well as the Foreign Minister. So, he has been credited to the establishment of the India's foreign policy. He He was the only person who has came into the establishment of the India's foreign policy. He actually formulated and implemented the India's foreign policy from 1946 to 1964. Very, very important. If I talk about Jawaharlal Nehru, he was a foreign minister as well. He was the prime minister as well during that time. And what are the three major objectives of Nehru's foreign policy? Now, the three major objectives of Nehru's foreign policy were to preserve the hard-earned sovereignty, to protect territorial integrity and promote rapid economic development. Nehru wished to achieve this objective through the strategy of non-alignment. Very, very important. Now, what are the objectives of Nehru's foreign policy? The objectives of Nehru's foreign policy is to maintain the sovereignty, so that peace can come in a particular country. And second of all, to protect territorial integrity. Yes, you see, in the territory, there must be peace, there must be integrity, there must be honesty. As a result, to protect the territory also, the foreign policy came into existence by Jawaharlal Nehru, and also the rapid economic growth. Economic growth was very much important so that they can alleviate poverty. Nehru wished to achieve this objective through the strategy of non-alignment. Now, how these strategies will be improved? How these strategies can be coped up with the help of non-alignment. During that time, the word non-alignment came into existence. Now, the third point, the foreign policy of independent India vigorously pursued the dream of a peaceful world by advocating the policy of non-alignment. Now, the foreign policy of independent India. Here, the foreign policy of independent India pursued the dream of peaceful world. They pursued the dream of a peaceful world by advocating the policy of non-alignment, by reducing the Cold War tensions, and by contributing human resources to the UN peacekeeping operation. You see, with the help of foreign policy, with the help of this foreign policy only, the Cold War tensions was reduced. During that time, Cold War was between Russia and United States of America. So with the help of foreign policy only, the Cold War tensions were being reduced, and also by contributing human resources to UN peacekeeping operations. Now, during that time, India also contributed some of the human resources. Some of the human resources were contributed to UN peacekeeping operations. So with the help of this only, you see foreign policy, how foreign policy was very much important during that time, so that peace can be maintained in our particular country. So I hope you have understood regarding the policy of non-alignment. You see, if I talk about the policy of non-alignment, it was being first inaugurated by Jawaharlal Nehru himself. Now, you see here, if you want to know any of the courses regarding our institute, you see our institute is announcing new batches for arts and commerce students, high secondary, and here you can join the WhatsApp group. If you want to join the official WhatsApp group, here you can click the link on the description box itself. Here on the WhatsApp group, you will be getting daily class updates, important announcements, course details and notifications, and also exam alerts and study materials you will be getting from the WhatsApp group. And if you want to join the official WhatsApp group, then you can click the link on the description. You can click the link on the description section. On the description section, click the link and join now, and you will be getting more information regarding the arts and commerce batches. I hope so you are clear. Here, India wanted to keep away from military alliances led by US and Soviet Union against each other. India advocated non-alignment as the ideal foreign approach. In 1956, when Britain attacked Egypt over the Suez Canal issue, India led the world protest against the neo-colonial invasion. But in the same year, when the USSR invaded Hungary, India did not join its public condemnation. Now you see here, India wanted to keep away from military alliances. Now India, according to the foreign policy of India, India actually wanted to keep away from the US and Russian military alliances. You see here what had happened. Jawaharlal Nehru followed the non-alignment. Why he followed the non-alignment policy? He followed the non-alignment policy so that he can keep his country away from the US and Russia military alliances first of all, which means the Soviet Union. And also India advocated non-alignment as the ideal foreign approach. During that time, India actually advocated the non-alignment policy for their own approach, for their own benefit, so that they don't interfere in any of the courses. Also, on the other hand, in 1956, when Britain attacked Egypt over the Suez Canal issue, this is one of the important in 1956, when Britain attacked Suez Canal, Egypt's Suez Canal. During that time also, it led the world to protest. During that time, um, what had happened against this non-colonial invasion, but in the same year when the USSR invaded Hungary, India did not join its public condemnation. You see, when Britain attacked Suez Canal, during that time, India also went for the world protest. They went for the world protest just because for the colonial invasion. They went for the world protest for the colonial invasion, but here comes about the USSR invaded. When USSR invaded Hungary, during that time India did not join in anything. India did not supported anyone. He did not supported any of the country. So they were not in the condemnation during that time. So despite such situation, by and large, India did not take an independent stand on various international issues and could get aid and assistance from the members of both the bloc. Now, as a result, what had happened? There are many kind of international issues. In all of the international issues, the India doesn't have to protest, the India doesn't have to support. So this is one of the important terms here. This is one of the example that how non-alignment actually works. In some of the non-alignment policy, you see India will not be participating in the international issues. Here, Afro-Asian unity. Now here we will be understanding about the Afro-Asian unity. Yet, given its size, location and power potential, Nehru envisaged a major role for India in world affairs and especially in Asian affairs. His era was marked by the establishment of contracts between India and other newly independent states in Asia and Africa. Now here, if I talk about the Afro-Asian unity, here the size, location and power potential, Nehru envisaged major role for India in world affairs. Now here, if I talk about Jawaharlal Nehru as a foreign minister, he has participated in a lot of international affairs. You see, in the world affairs also he has participated, in the Asian affairs also he has participated. His era was marked by the establishment of contacts between India and newly independent states in Asia and Africa. During that time, he has maintained very good contact with the other international contacts as well, and with the new emerging states in our country and with the African states itself. Throughout the 1940s and 1950s, Nehru had been ardent advocate of the Asian unity. Now, during that time, Asian unity was very much important. It was the important topic during that time, the Asian unity. So, as a result, Asian unity was a current trend. You can say during that time, it was a current trend in the year 1940s to 1950s. Under his leadership, India convened the Asian Relations Conference in March 1947, 5 months ahead of its attaining independence. India made earnest efforts for the early realization of freedom of Indonesia from the Dutch colonial regime by convening an international conference in 1949 to support its freedom struggle. Now, Asian Relation Conference, you see Asian Relation Conference come into existence during March 1947, 5 months ahead of the independence day. 5 months ahead of the independence, the Asian Relation Conference came into existence under the leadership of Jawaharlal Nehru. So during that time also, India has made earnest contribution. Earnest contribution has been made to the realization of the freedom struggle. Also, on the other hand, during that time, Indonesia was also under the Dutch colonial figure. They were under the Dutch colonial regime. So as a result, they had convened the international conference in 1949 to support its freedom struggle. During that time also, as a foreign minister, if I talk about Jawaharlal Nehru, here that time the freedom struggle, Indonesia was fighting for the freedom struggle from the Dutch regime. During that time also, India participated in the international issues so that Indonesia can get freedom struggle. So as a foreign minister, he has contributed in a lot of things regarding to the international issues or to the international context. Also very important, Asian Relation Conference. Asian Relation Conference come into existence during the year 1947 March under the leadership of whom? Jawaharlal Nehru. Why? Because Jawaharlal Nehru was a foreign minister here. India was a strong supporter of the decolonization process and firmly opposed racism, especially apartheid in South Africa. Very important. You see, apartheid issue. The apartheid issue was the most important issue in South America. Those solution was also being provided by India itself. During that time, India was against decolonization, also against the apartheid system. They never supported racism. They always opposed racism. If I talk about our country, India, they have always opposed racism, and they have supported the policy of apartheid in South America, in South Africa. I'm so sorry. In South Africa, they have supported the apartheid system. Also, the Afro-Asia Asian Conference held in Indonesian city of Bandung in 1955, commonly known as Bandung Conference, marked the zenith of India's engagement with the newly independent Asian and African nation. The Bandung Conference later led to the establishment of NAM, and Nehru was the co-founder of NAM, non-alignment movement. You see here NAM. If I talk about NAM, non-alignment movement, so Jawaharlal Nehru was the co-founder of the non-alignment movement. Now, what do you mean by non-alignment movement? Which means not participating in any of the international context, which means apne aap mein rehna. This is known as the non-alignment movement. Also, on the other hand, here comes the Bandung Conference. You see, the Bandung Conference marks the zenith of India's engagement with the newly independent Asian and African nation. Now, here, most of the important, the Bandung Conference. Why the Bandung Conference came into existence? So that India can have a good relation with the other independent Asian and African nations. You see, during that time, India had good relation with the other Asian nations as well, with the other African nations as well. And the Bandung Conference, you see, with the help of the Bandung Conference only, there came the establishment of non-alignment movement with the help of the co-founder Jawaharlal Nehru. I hope so you have understood regarding the Afro-Asian unity. So today we have understood about the non-alignment movement, and also we have known about the international context. Now, how Jawaharlal Nehru was a part of the international context. Also, on the other hand, we have understood about the Afro and Asian unity. Our Bhadra Academy is announcing new courses regarding arts and commerce students, regarding arts and commerce section, regarding arts and commerce high secondary section. And if you want to know any of the updates, here you see the daily class updates, the important announcement, course details and notification, exam alerts and study materials you will be finding in the official WhatsApp group itself. From the official WhatsApp group itself, you will be getting the information, and the link of the official WhatsApp group you will be finding in the description section itself. Click on the description link and you will be joining the official WhatsApp group, and here you will be knowing the daily updates of the arts and commerce high secondary courses. I hope so you are clear about that. And if you want to know more of the information regarding our academy, then you can contact us in this number 86383 91721. And thank you for watching my video.